This conference will now be recorded.
As Ginger comes back, we'll start. All right, good evening. We're going to start the meeting of the November 14th with public hearing on the second reading of Ordinance 609-2024. This is the ordinance updating the town floodplain to be compliant with the state requirements, which is the result of FEMA updating the floodplain maps. Kevin of Great West Engineering is our floodplain administrator, and he will give us an overview of 609.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. I have a staff report prepared that was originally presented on the October 30th meeting, which was the first reading of the ordinance. And if the mayor still likes, I can go ahead and read it verbatim into the record again.
I see new faces in the room, so we might as well.
All right. So like I said, I'm going to be reading off of the staff report from a couple weeks ago. So for general information, in April of 2024, the Department of Natural Resources and Conservation, or the DNRC, published updated model floodplain regulations for the state of Montana. This update replaces the previous model regulations that the DNRC made available to the public in 2022. Communities throughout Montana that participate in the National Flood Insurance Program, or the NFIP, such as the town of Ennis, are required by state statute 76-5-301 to adopt land use regulations for floodplain management that meet or exceed the minimum standards set forth by the state of Montana within 6 months of a state or federal revision. The following list below are additional higher standards the DNRC has proposed in the model regulations. Section 6.1 floodway. Cemeteries, mausoleums, or any other burial ground are prohibited in the floodway. Section 6.2 flood fringe. The construction or storage of an artificial obstruction subject to flotation or movement during flood level periods is prohibited in the flood fringe. Section 6.2 flood fringe. Cemeteries, mausoleums, or any other burial grounds are prohibited in the flood fringe. Section 6.2 flood fringe. Critical facilities, including buildings and associated structures that provide essential community care and emergency operation functions such as schools, hospitals, nursing home facilities, fire stations, and police stations are prohibited in the flood fringe. Section 9.2 subsection 3(9), general development requirements in the floodway. The safety of access to property in times of flooding for ordinary and emergency services shall be required for a floodplain application permit. Section 9.10, public and private campgrounds. There is no large-scale clearing of riparian vegetation within 50 feet of the mean annual high water mark. Section 9.11, structures accessory or appurtenant. There is no clearing of riparian vegetation within 50 feet of the mean annual high water mark. Section 10.2, subsection 8, access. Structures must have safe access during times of flooding up to the base flood for ordinary and emergency services, provided there are no reasonable alternate locations for structures. Section 10.2, subsection 13, structural fill flood proofing. The fill must be a minimum of 0.5 feet above the base flood elevation and extend at least 15 feet beyond the structure in all directions. Section 10.2, subsection 19, access. Access for emergency vehicles is provided for manufactured homes. Access for manufactured home haulers also provided. Section 14.2, subsection 3, notice to enter and investigate lands or waters. If the owners do not respond, cannot be located, or refuse entry to the floodplain administrator, the floodplain administrator may initiate a search warrant. Included as an attachment to the staff report is a copy of the DNRC's 2024 model regulations with the updates and the edits to the 2022 version shown in blue text. Madison County has recently undergone a Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, floodplain mapping update, which included the town of Ennis. The updated regulations are required by the DNRC and FEMA to be fully adopted prior to the date that the new flood insurance rate maps, or FIRMs, go into effect, which is December 20th, 2024. The recommendation is Great West Engineering, acting as the town of Ennis's contract floodplain administrator, recommends to the town commission that the DNRC model regulations be adopted without the DNRC's proposed higher standards. And attachments to this report were the three FEMA firm panels, the town of Ennis proposed floodplain ordinance, and the 2024 DNRC model regulations with the track changes. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Questions for Kevin? Those of you in the room, if you would please sign in for the public hearing portion, just it's part of the records when we do floodplain ordinance. So that sign-in sheet is at the podium. If there's anybody that has questions for Kevin or public comment, I'll open the floor to that. Second call for public comment on ordinance 609/2024. Last call for public comment on 609/2024. To the commission for adopting second reading.
I move to adopt 609/2024 as written.
Discussion? All right, calling the vote. Corey?
Aye.
All right. So we have adopted ordinance 609/2024. It does not go into effect until 30 days after today. So that will be December 14th. It will be sent to the codifiers and added to the book. Thank you, Kevin, for all your hard work on this and getting us on track and in the timeline.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too. All right, that closes the public hearing and on to our regular meeting of Town Hall with a roll call of the council. Mr. Neha?
Present.
Mr. Way?
Here.
Mrs. Abernathy?
Here.
Mr. Hardy?
Here.
All right. If we could all please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is the approval of the October 15th meeting minutes.
I move to approve the October 15th minutes.
Any additions, corrections, discussion? All right, calling the vote. Way? Mrs. Abernathy?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Mr. Meehan?
Abstain.
And to the October 25th meeting minutes.
I move to approve the October 25th meeting minutes.
Are here two mics? Oh, okay. She beat me to it. Corrections, Comments? All right, then we're on to Corey. You go first. No, wait. I don't know where I was at.
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Abstain.
And on to approval of October 30th meeting minutes.
I'll move to approve October 30th meeting minutes.
I second.
All right, corrections, discussion? Corey?
Aye.
Abstain.
Aye.
All right, to department reports. Karen?
So I actually thought I was not going to be here tonight because of a program at the library. So I didn't prepare anything outside of my written report. Things have slowed down a little bit, but November tends to be a busy month for our community room. People trying to get in programs, meetings, gatherings before the holidays. So it's still a very busy place. Any questions for me?
Did you hit a big milestone in employment at the town?
Ginger called to tell me that I've been with the town 10 years.
So congratulations to
Thank
Karen.
you.
for
Thank
hitting
you.
executive office.
Thank you very much.
Who are we
And
getting-
just one more thing for the commissioners. It's next month. I'll be preparing some extra information, some year-end statistics, gathering some outside information about the library funding, etc. But it's an open invitation. If you just want to come down, talk to me, give you a tour, show you what goes on, I'd be happy to.
Question for you.
Yeah.
What are your hours from now through the Christmas season? What are their standard hours for the library?
Standard hours are Monday 9 to 5, Tuesday and Wednesday 9 to 6, Thursday, Friday 9 to 5, 10 to 2 on Saturdays.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Is tonight's event being rescheduled?
It is rescheduled. Yeah, unfortunately, due to Karen had a surgery, so we had to postpone the event.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
And then on to law enforcement. So you have John's written report. We have received 4 applications, and now we're looking at when to schedule interviews for the second officer position.
What happened to the guy you did interview like 6 months ago?
Never turned in the rest of the background, so I assume that he took another position. Public Works. Eric can't be with us this evening. He's got a new family member, so he went to go see the new family member.
Did he put a written? Oh, there it is. I missed it.
Did he turn in a written?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's in there. I'd say the noticeable point is our 5 hours of pump time. I was waiting to see but I want to pull the time from last year to see what the comparison is for the same time last year. To see if we're actually gaining on our leaks or if it's
Just holding.
holding.
So in the summer, I don't understand this. It says in the summer it runs from 23 to 30 hours a day.
Right, because we have the two
How does
pumps,
it run for 30 hours a day?
the two pumps, so it's combined
Okay.
for pump time. Yes, I know, there's 24 hours in a day, and I
didn't
asked that
understand.
question too, like, wait a minute. But yeah, it's the combined pump time
Okay.
between the two. So,
And we're down to just 5 hours combined for the two.
mhm.
That's pretty good.
But I'd like to see last year's, because irrigation puts a whole lot, and there was a lot of new sod put in, and all of those take a lot more. So I don't know for sure. We're still going to do another drawdown test and see how many more leaks we have, or if we're slowly getting them pieced together. But the one downtown we estimated, I think he estimated at 40,000 gallons a day loss. So there's nothing like that running into the ground to put some more pump time on. Nothing else exciting. We're still waiting for Lucas's licenses to transfer. They haven't yet. They said that could be 6 to 8 weeks though. So still waiting for those. Susie.
I did give you a copy of my report, but I'll read it anyways. I did one garage permit, one zone site permit on Nicole Way, one fence permit, an auxiliary building on Beaverhead Street. Did some sign compliance and compliance for RVs. The conditional use permit for Josie Severson that's behind the town pump. Hopefully, I've asked for it to be on the agenda for the planning board for their December meeting, and hopefully you'll see it the next in December also. The car wash has received the engineer's reports on the wastewater and water. We're just waiting for them to move forward. They just need to fill out a new zone site permit before they can move forward. Continuing to work with the Madison County GIS, we just let him know the last week that we have no changes with the boundary map. So hopefully we're going to be getting a copy of that. I completed the CGN training. I completed our site work paperwork. It's for court to it's called site pay, and that's how most of the courts receive their payments, and it goes right to, it's pretty slick actually, it goes right to the docket of that person. And just got notice yesterday that that was accepted, so that's the step for me. For court, I entered citations, deposits, reconciled the end of the month, process end of month, and continued to scan files into the computer. And we're right at 90 citations for the year. Any questions?
$90 citations for the year. Is that just EPD or is that both? Sheriff can write citations and
They can write them. They don't write many. I'm guessing I could one or two maybe for the year. Most of them are EPD.
okay.
And that's of January, not July.
Correct. Anything else?
What was the overhead events?
It's an auxiliary building. So it's basically they built a lean-to onto a shed. So that's as close of that I could call it. That's it.
Thank you.
Ginger.
have mine written. And Vicki pointed out that I must have been halfway in thought when I was typing and just stopped. On there, I had Brenna started, and what that should have finished with is.
Okay.
Sorry, that's okay. It's documentation. And she's going through our files where she is sorting and has come up with a lot of them that, in the record retention that we can just get rid of. And then she's also learning more of those sections. There's different things that have to be held forever. Some 10 years, some 30 years.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different time frames for them, yeah.
So she's got a good start on that. But she pretty much started with stuff that we can just dispose of. Try and clean up our Connex out here a little bit, and we've got boxes kind of stacked all over the place. So she's working on that.
So December would be the first quarter of the fiscal year, correct?
Second
Quarter.
quarter.
Second quarter.
Yeah, and the mayor and I are working already on what reports to get to you guys.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna.
Yep.
We probably really won't see until January because claims and whatnot, the December claims aren't paid until January. In January.
Mhm.
But
Could we see like for the first quarter of the fiscal year where
we
it
can
was?
now that budget
Yeah.
passed, yeah, I was gonna wait and tomorrow send out to you guys on revenue and expenditures as soon as
After the claims are done, then.
Yeah.
And they'll clear the system and then I can get that out to you guys.
Perfect, thank you.
Budget did go into the state and it is posted on their site.
What department does that go to?
I send it to local government services. You want me to also send you out the site for that, or the link?
Yeah, please, if you would.
Sure.
Ms. Hinkins?
So you mentioned that Brenna's working on records. Is that involved? Is that cross training? Has cross training begun? The training?
We're doing various things with the cross training.
So she is doing cross training.
Yes.
And we're trying to get the Connex. It's not an ideal storage answer. It's not mouse proof. It's not. It is very not the appropriate place for our storage of records. So Brenna's cleaning up, and then once we have what we actually need to keep, there's certain ones that we're going to have shredded, anything with personal information. So we'll bring somebody on site and do that. And then what's retained, we're looking for better than paper boxes for more permanent records, because
Okay, and then you mentioned, I guess it was a couple of meetings ago about cash reconciliation, how you were allotting time aside to do that. Are you still working on that?
I am.
Getting it caught up?
It has been sporadic.
Okay.
With budget and trying to help planning board, et cetera, but yes.
Okay. And then just to note, I don't know if this was brought up last week, but when you were gone, there was public comment that was sent to your email because you weren't here. It wasn't read, I think. Is that right?
Well, they just had to reach out to, like, they didn't know, like, nothing kicked back to say, hey, this isn't gonna get with that, so had we not known you were out of town to call Brenna to say, hey, their public comments are sitting in Ginger's email.
So maybe you could just edit the agenda to say both emails or have a combined email where it would be sent to something.
both of them at the same time. And I guess the other portion of that, Jody is on our list for next week. So Jody Campbell and Jody Rogers are the two clerks working for the league. And we talked about contracting them to come down. So we'll get the full list of what we need defined. They'll present that information to Thomas Jourdain. He's legal at the league. Thomas will write up a contract for your approval. We're hoping that's one of the contracts available to you next month. If all the holidays don't get in the way, it should be ready for you. All right. Claims.
Just a question.
Oh, sorry.
Do you have any examples of what the 30-year and the 10-year and the lifetime?
I would defer to Brett on that.
Yes, please.
Restate the question, please.
Could you give an example of what the retention requirements are? What is a lifetime document? What is a 30-year document, so on and so forth?
I can't probably specifically say like all the specified stuff, but I know all of the budget that is permanent. Everything I've come across kind of with that, it breaks down to like certain things in it. So it depends on what documents I'm specifically looking at, but most of the things for budget are permanent that I've seen. There's some for insurance, they're usually 30 or plus mores that you have to keep them. So it really just depends on what it is. Anything for equipment, you have to keep until the equipment's alive. Employees until the employee, I think it's certain dates till they're terminated. So it really depends on certain things, but that's usually what it is. It's just what you're looking at.
Okay.
And then special reports for over 50.
Yeah. And if they're special reports, that has a whole different form now for anything that's older than 50 years old that we have.
Okay. And did you notice that there's any damage happening to any of the documents?
Nothing that we can't go back on. There was one page I ripped accidentally when I was getting it out, taped it back up, made sure that it's still legible. Other than that, nothing that I've seen that's dire that we need to get replaced or anything like that. That seems important to know. I haven't come across that.
Okay, thank you.
Jim, we have plans to, with those of those documents, the 10, 30, 50, or permanent, that they're going to be scanned in.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's great. That's good to know.
So hopefully. Before they become too fragile to scan.
It's a big deal.
My daughter worked for the Forest Service, and she said even taking some of the staples out to scan them, they were starting to disintegrate. So important before they get to that stage. All right, claims.
If you guys want to look at these, they're all. So why on that Black Mountain for the annual support, do they ding us 10 times or whatever?
I actually broke them
Ginger,
out.
is your mic on? Okay,
Sorry.
They just couldn't hear you on.
A couple of years ago, Ms. Hankins asked about that, and the commission said they would like to see them broke out into like all the different departments.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. That
So,
makes sense. All
so that's what I did.
right, perfect.
So that's why it's broke down like it is.
That makes sense.
Water and sewer though, like the utility billing support, et cetera.
Mhm.
I mean, they carry that. So that's why water and sewer are higher.
Okay. No, if you just have any questions. Is that the same with the copier lease that we got charged $51.67 3 times?
Yes.
Did you just break that out?
Yeah, I just break it out into different
Okay.
departments.
That's good.
And not the same 3 all the time.
Okay.
I kind of keep track of each.
What's our
Each
page
one.
requirement? Like, I see there was
I would
extra
have to
for
look
black
at
and
their.
white.
I'd have to look at it, Nikki, to tell you the number. There's a certain number of black and white we get at no charge. If we go over, then we get a charge per page.
I saw that. I was
That
like,
way,
oh.
with black and white and with color, there's a maximum
An
we hit
overage.
with.
I just saw the overage in there and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
On the claims, I just have a question with the, I think it's the asphalt company, like 52,000. That's for the Lions Club Park, correct?
Correct.
And is there additional bills to be paid?
That was in Eric's report as well, that those haven't been received yet. And as soon as he gets them in, he will send them out.
But I think DEQ is going to possibly help as well.
Yes, that's, at this point, DEQ's saying they're going to assist with part of it because we dug up extra due to the fuel in the soil. So they had additional requirements. So if you see on claims as well, there's additional for Great West Engineering, and that was they had to have our on-call engineering come in for approval as well. So Joel was on call for us for that at DEQ's requirement.
And that library fire system, the 18,000, that was for installation of that new fire
I
system,
think it
correct?
was.
That you talked about that last meeting or?
I did. It was,
Yeah.
installation and wiring and new detector components.
All right, so I'll move the approved claims.
Is there a second?
A second.
Discussion. All right, I think I was at Mr. Harding. So
Aye.
Aye.
Mitch?
Aye.
All right, claims are approved. All right, public comment on non-agenda items.
Smith. I attended the school board meeting last night, and it was very disappointing to hear that they had not been told of the vote on 1015. That Commissioner Hardy and Commissioner Way had voted no to the SRO, and nobody had contacted the school. So I was just wondering, did that just fall through the cracks, or why was that not done?
Evening, Alex Zippe, Ennis resident. Good evening, council members and mayor. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I stand before you as a resident and U.S. veteran to address a pressing concern that affects our community deeply. The leadership of our mayor. It is with a heavy heart that I must assert that the current leadership does not align with the vision and needs of our town. Over the past months, we have witnessed a growing divide within our community. The mayor's approach is fostering an environment of hostility rather than harmony. Decisions are made without consultation or transparency, leaving many residents feeling unheard and marginalized. This lack of communication has escalated tensions and eroded trust between the mayor's office and the constituents, as well as between the department heads and the council members. Moreover, instead of uniting us, the mayor has often resorted to divisive rhetoric, creating an atmosphere where differences are not only amplified but exploited. This is not the leadership we need. We require a leader who brings people together, who listens to the diverse voices in our community, and who works tirelessly to build bridges rather than walls. The mayor's refusal to address critical issues such as the current IT, SRO, and the actions of our public works director has left us vulnerable. Our town deserves someone who prioritizes collaboration and seeks solutions that benefit all, not a select few. In conclusion, we must reconsider the direction in which we are headed. It is time for our leadership to embody the values of inclusivity, respect, and integrity. Together, we can foster a town that is not only a place to live, but a community we can all be proud of and a part of. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Last call for public comment on non-agenda items. Anything from online? All right, closing public comment on non-agenda items. Moving on to our unfinished business, which is the Madison County Sheriff's Office agreement. I spoke with Mr. Guza. He has done the back, in claims you'll see he did background research with Thomas Jourdain. He's been in contact with the county attorney, and he advised that we continue with our contract once the commission was full. So he would like to meet with the committee once we had a full house and be ready to move on that. So you mean Corey, gonna have a drive to Bozeman probably?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? What did you say? I'm sorry.
So Ed Guza contacted Thomas Jourdain because the Thomas at the league had given a presentation at the league conference in October regarding sheriffs, local police departments, how they're funded, and had been gathering information all the way around the state and creating a spreadsheet of all the different forms of agreements, how they're executed, and the combinations. So to kind of move forward with where we were at, the league was looking at maybe putting together a letter for an attorney's general. Now it doesn't look like that's in the process. So Ed said, can I get a hold of the county attorney, start working with him so that we can start working to an agreement? Yes, we're going to have a meeting with the committee and then move forward from there. Does that make sense?
You said contract though, didn't you?
Yes.
There is no current
The whether it be for additional dispatch services, however it's laid out. Yes. Unless it's as an interlocal agreement, but then it's still.
I still believe that legislation is going to fix this. And I have, in legislative services, you can go in and put in keywords. So anytime the new bills come up with any of those keywords, it dings you. And so I put all these keywords in. So I look at that every day for between now and the beginning of the legislative session when most of those bills hit. So we'll know here in the next month if there's something brewing.
The league was, Thomas pretty much said the same thing, that they had anticipated with enough, there'd been enough question put forth that it would probably be resolved at this legislative session. I still think at very least, we definitely need to get the additional dispatch services. We've always paid for the additional dispatch services. But we'll go with committee.
What I believe will happen will be there'll be two competing bills, one from the Sheriff's Association and one from Department of Justice or something like that. And you have to sort through and figure out which one to go support. But
all right, so that's where that one's at.
So if you said contract, so is it a contract or a motion?
Right now, they're just meeting to decide how to
right
move
now, it's
forward.
nothing.
Right now, nothing, and whatever the document is when it's done would define what it is.
Yes.
when it's done. Yeah.
All right. As of Monday afternoon, there were no letters of interest for the remaining seat. Leona rescinded hers after thought. So we might have to have a meeting next week again. Put it out again.
I'm unavailable next week.
Okay. Thanksgiving week? I know, but not on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Let's not ruin dinner. We could,
I could be available remotely.
okay.
Yeah, the following, I got hunters all next week, so
Is there a day of that week that works for everybody? A Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday? Well, as long as
We get a letter.
as long as there is one. So I'd like to at least be able to set a deadline. So if we have the meeting, then I know what deadline to have them by.
But if there's no letters, you'll just cancel the meeting.
Correct.
Sorry, so then is there a, what happens if like 3 months go by
I
and
don't
you
think,
just keep having,
can we
like, if you get one at any point? What?
chain to it? I'm kidding.
Well, if I wasn't already committed to.
Local government review. We have to just wait until there's another letter. So next week isn't working, so is there a day for the commission on the, if we want to do a Tuesday or a Monday, whichever?
I can do anything the following week, but next week's bad.
I'm fine. Any day during Thanksgiving week. I just know I'll be traveling over the
I'm
weekend.
not traveling for next week, so.
Corey, would you like to chime in that week of Thanksgiving? Is there a preferred day that's not Thanksgiving? Or probably the day after. I like my turkey coma.
I'll be available whenever.
Friday for me is a work day. So.
Shall we say Tuesday then? And then anything that's received Monday, by Monday afternoon of,
26th.
yep.
Yep.
Whatever you need.
11:26,
Yes.
6:15.
That's fine with me.
Yes.
And letters due by that Monday, is that?
That would be fine.
Okay.
All right, so we gotta find one more person.
Is there an exception for,
No,
it's
I
for
haven't
employees?
Is it
found.
not 1 mile?
No, that it's not for on the council. That's for the planning jurisdiction. For like planning board, you can have a certain amount of seats. 2 seats that,
Special, like if they had special talents or something they could bring into the council?
no. No.
Sorry, so the MOU for the sheriff's department will not be taken care of until there's 5 commissioners. Did I
I think
gather
we're still
that?
going to
or-
meet and go from there in hopes that somewhere in between the meetings, there's still one more person that's like going to fill in.
They
At
just
least
don't
there-
wanna
at
bring it
least there
before
is now a
us until it's-
majority.
And we all have a full.
Yeah, but what if there's never a full one, you know, that's.
Yeah.
You know, urgency. I don't know, like there could be an open seat forever. Or
When-
even then, you know, so.
At the point when I talked to Ed, we were at 3.
Yeah.
So I think now that there's 4 and there's at least a majority. But then the 4 leads to an
Tie.
issue, right? Because if for any reason there's a tie, then it's just dead because I don't vote for anything. I don't break ties. So there's always that. That's why there's
So-
the 5.
You guys help us find somebody.
All right, but in the meantime, we're going to move on to appointment of council person to the Ennis Planning Board. So appointments are made with approval of the council. I would like to appoint Mr. Nehan to the planning board for the reason that he's got the background in planning. Myron, I'm speaking, please. Thank you. He has the background, and currently we are working on the request for proposal. I have been put out for the growth policy. We currently have 2 companies that have put in. We're trying to decide if we would like to extend the deadline for one more company, and where you've clearly worked with the master plan documents, the growth policy is going to be very similar. And then, so that's our major undertask, and then undertaking next. And then after that's working on the zoning, and you're very familiar with code. I thought that would be our best fit. And it's rather time consuming, not to deter anybody from it. But I know Mr. Way has a lot going on in the legislative session, and I've got some other things for Ms. Abernathy as well. So with your
You're willing to,
acceptance.
to do that?
Yes.
We would appreciate your expertise there, for sure.
Thank you. It's obviously very important, and even Leona last week thought that it was important, so be very happy to assist there.
I move to appoint Mr. Nehan to the planning board.
My second.
All right. Any discussion from the room before I call a vote?
No, but, you know, we can consolidate the zoning board of adjustment and the planning board. So, well, we have open seats on both.
Mm-hmm.
For discussion.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Hardy,
Aye.
did you get a vote for yourself?
Yes.
All right. Perfect.
Do I have a choice?
All right. And the next is the appointment to the library board. And I would like to appoint Mitch Abernathy to that board. She has the time available to that board. She, during her first presentation to the council, had said she had a ton of organizational skills. And I know where Karen is working on a long-term strategic plan. I was hoping that that would be a good fit, especially with a new addition and some other larger plans coming.
I just wanted to throw in, I did it again.
It's
Did it again. I just wanted to throw out, yes, if you're willing, that'd be wonderful. And also, if you're not ready to commit to this appointment tonight, just want to invite you or any other interested parties to a board meeting. It's always more enjoyable for everyone if you want to be there. You know, if you see the group, see how it operates, and make a decision. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well. Thank you.
When's the library board?
Board meetings are usually the first Friday at 9 a.m.
First Friday at 9 a.m.
Yes. And currently we are, so including the commission board appointment, we are down 2 board members. So we will be, and the current board has decided to, so we do not have a quorum for the people who are out of town and not able to come to the December meeting. We do not have a quorum. We will be meeting. This December meeting will be on the 13th instead of the 9th for various reasons. But we can call you in, Zoom you in, and for the January meeting, we will have interested board members attending that meeting as well.
Just a question.
Yeah.
And it may be a stupid question, but I'm not sure. Is it a regional library or is it just a?
So we are under the umbrella of the town of Ennis, but we serve Madison County, primarily this side of the county.
And do you receive any additional funding for that?
We do. We receive county funding, half a mil from the county.
I assumed all of that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to confirm.
No, great question. Thank you. Yeah.
Mitch, are you accepting of my appointment?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm very glad to be able to join the board. Thank you. Very happy to. Thank you.
Is there a motion? Did somebody?
Is that?
Not yet.
I move to appoint to the library board.
Second.
All right. Discussion? Anybody else dying to? I thought it was going to be a great fit. I'm hoping I think it is. All right. Calling the vote with
Aye.
Corey.
Aye.
All right. Next is the request for proposal growth policy, the selection committee. That's a combined committee of 5 members between the planning board and the commission. I would like to appoint 2 commissioners for our vacant spots. And the reasoning behind that is then that makes 3 on that board. So, and then 2 from the planning board. So that would constitute a quorum. So we would have to post notice for the public to be involved in that growth policy. That's not how it was done with the master plan, and I think that might have been one of the glitches that made it not quite the document as a town that we really wanted. So I was hoping that that would be the way. And currently Commissioner Hardy is on the selection committee already, so I would like to appoint Mr. Way and Mr. Nehan to the selection committee.
Sure.
Are you okay with?
Yeah.
Okay. Trying to disperse it.
Do you need a motion?
Yep.
I move that we appoint Mr. Nehan and Mr. Way to the selection committee.
I'll second that for discussion.
All right. Are you both okay with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're
that'll be
both
fine.
familiar with contracts and one of those larger proposals. It was very specific in the request, if you want it.
Is there
Okay.
a schedule when that's going to meet?
Let me get with Lyndon and see when now that they're all in,
Mhm.
or if you guys want to extend. So as a group, you're going to have to decide if you would like to extend the deadline for that last company. To put
When
in
was
as
the
well.
deadline?
The deadline was last week. And currently Highlight Engineering and Great West Engineering have put in for their proposals. Great West, you're familiar with, has done our PER, the last 2 PERs. The last document that I read from Highlight Engineering is the Madison County Housing Assessment Need. So that's on the Madison County's website, and I thought they did a phenomenal job with that one as well. So it will be a good discussion to have. So I will email Lyndon, he is the chair of the planning board, with your appointment to the planning board and both of you to the review. And then you can set your date.
Okay.
For when you're going to. And how you're going to do that. If it's just document review or an actual interview of the companies, having a representative come down. All right. Did we vote? I feel like we voted. All right. Mitch?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Okay. The next portion is to the IT. I spoke with Keith from DIS. He's willing to come down and do an evaluation of the system. I would like 2 knowledgeable, more than just me, to come down and sit with him and go through department by department for an assessment of needs and an evaluation, see if our current IT job description isn't meeting our needs, and go through that whole process. Corey's already been the primary contact for at DIS, so I would like to appoint Corey, and then Mr. Nehan, as he's got the background in software and some of from his presentation, with the approval of the council.
You okay with that?
I'm fine. Yeah.
Corey, are you good with that?
That sounds just fine.
Okay.
I move to appoint Mr. Hardy and Mr. Nehan to the IT committee.
I second that.
All right. Call the vote. Corey.
Aye.
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 All right. So I will call Keith with available days. Email the two of you which days he's available to come down, and we'll set up a day. All right. Next is the contract that was presented by Keith from DIS for the services to the library.
Hi. So also maybe you could elaborate why this is on the agenda, just so.
The original document that DIS sent us was the quote portion. This is just the finalizing of the item that was approved in the budget.
So this contract with DIS Technologies, this was one of 3 quotes that I asked different companies for last fiscal year in preparation for this year. DIS actually lowered their price to $800 a month. Currently, I am performing our IT. One important thing about this quote is their security, that they include security coverage. We have a lot of people that use our public computers and our Wi-Fi. And I was looking for something with emphasis on security to help us out and help our patrons out and make sure their information isn't vulnerable. One thing about this contract that occurred to me recently after the commission's last discussion. So this contract was written from July to June for the fiscal year. Not knowing the goals of your IT committee, I don't know how that fits in. Well, I know how that fits in. That commits this contract into next fiscal year, which I don't think that's not know what do I want to say? Great planning. But what I don't know if that they would be open to a 6-month contract. I didn't ever ask that question.
Would you like me to pose that to Keith and have it represented for 11/26?
Yeah, that makes sense to me to have a 6-month contract so we don't commit any monies for next fiscal year. And so on the off chance that the IT committee finds something appropriate for the whole town that dovetails in, that makes sense to me.
Do you have the contact information for the, you said 3 companies that you'd looked at?
Yes, one, I do have the contact information. One is no longer interested, and one I could ask if they're still interested.
Sweet.
Yep.
All right.
So if we approve this, we're approving the year, and she's saying she wants us to hold off and see if you can negotiate it for
I
half a
think
year.
we should table this until we hear back.
For a 6-month? Okay.
Is that what you're saying?
I am. That just makes sense to me, not to
It
commit
makes
any
sense.
money to next fiscal. Yeah.
I move we table this to the next meeting. Regular meeting.
Because that's a great question. So the question that's asked is the budget's been passed and we're budgeted for it. So why is it an agenda item? It's because the contract is written to the town of Ennis, and I believe it's a commission vote to sign a contract. Okay, does that make sense? Yes.
So I'll contact Keith and have him present just a 6-month for commission approval.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That may,
Okay.
yeah, thanks for looking out for that.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have to vote on a table.
I move.
Oh.
I need a second.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next portion is the Montana Department of Commerce Community Reinvestment Contract. So the council approved, I'm gonna say it was all the way back last December for the application for 819. We got that, that's how we're paying for our growth policy. But then you go through a timeline and a whole bunch of other stuff that the Department of Commerce wants. Then they issue a contract that they want signed, and they do it all e-signature. It gets sent to me, I'm supposed to e-sign it, then it gets sent to Guza, or sometimes at the same time, but Ed hasn't seen it yet. But he's familiar with these contracts, and he's anticipating it's the same standard boilerplate. And he's like, yep, good with it there. So this is just the final documentation of implementing the funds for 819.
All right, I'll move to approve the Montana Department of Commerce, Montana Community Reinvestment Contract.
Second.
Any discussion? Did that make sense? Okay. And you'll see another one of these next month, hopefully. We've sent in, I always thought it was one office, apparently per grant or issuing, it's a different area. So we've actually been working with 2 separate people at the Department of Commerce. Nikki is the one that's on 819, and I'm spacing 355. So they both got their information, but I don't know why it hasn't gone.
So we have to approve each contract.
Each one. So 355, I sent in all the information to both of them, and within the same week, I kind of figured both of them would be back, but this is the only one that's showed up for me to DocuSign. And then as soon as you open it, it goes away, and then they send you a new link. They're like, what are you doing with this document? I'm sure, because I'm starting to get reminders. You didn't sign it. So you'll see another one next month.
So I'm looking at the Exhibit E, which is the timeline. We're at the RFQ in November. We have to select a professional by December, and that's falling on the planning board.
That was the deadlines for when the letters were in. It's not a hard set, the timeline. It's like if you look at the end of it, or what was my last date? I'd have to pull it up. That's actually an overshoot of projected time for the proposal to close out, for the whole project to close out. Department of Commerce recommended putting 2 months after when you actually think you're going to finish up the whole document, just because it takes that long to process all the finals from their end and our end.
So we're potentially looking at February versus January 26th.
I think that's going to depend on like the selection committee and how much they want for public involvement and the timeline that they want for it. It's like a fine balance when you're trying to do the master plan document or the master documents.
I'm just looking at this, and it looks like just about every month, every other month in 25, there's something that has to be turned in.
And I think the planning board's already done an amazing amount in just the questionnaire. I think that takes a lot of at least initial hard work off of. But they wanted to see more public involvement, like pop-ups, this, that, and the other, before that, to gather more information for the document.
It's a lot of work for $30,000.
Just the reporting requirements.
What's that, Jim?
I said the reporting requirements are a heavy lift.
Are we good to approve? Corey?
Aye.
All right. Before we move on to letter H, can we have a bio break for 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Part of it's Colette's available at 7:30 for Great West. So if there's any additional comments or questions on Great West, she was available at 7:30, or we can always bump around, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine.
Okay. Thank you. Short 10-minute break.
So what was your question? What? I said, I can hear you. Thank you.
You live in town?
No.
I was just sitting there and looking. Oh, there's somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, she was like, yeah, she was getting it. She was like, you tell me about it. Yeah. Next week. It's not right. If the sign's staying up, the light bulb's going back down. I'm just telling you. Seriously. Seriously. Because mine's a secure relay. I have no security. Your light, the light.
Find me something that's just fine.
So, your daughter showed up on my Facebook feed. Yeah, she's coming to town. You know that son's not excited.
She's excited. Today was the last trip we had on the
I saw a lot of people that reached out
Yeah.
to us and her service. She's so sweet. She's so sweet. No. I brought you think they're okay. I just, there's so many things I think that.
So when you guys sign up and get onto the league, there's the National League Grant Hub on that site. Okay. Karen is absolutely phenomenal at actually hunting out grants. She's got, last year she received the accessibility. I think that was 20,000. The Dolly Parks program.
And you can actually for all school buses.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Basically, all over the country, they write RFPs all the time.
Sign it. Just sign here. Sure. What do you want? I like the way
It's so expensive. I was looking at $800. It's a steep. To do the same thing.
And long term, I think there's some grants just for cleaner energy, right? So if you looked at the claims, I was like, $800 is the library's power bill. So they run so much. I wonder if we could incorporate the right grant for.
COVID actually.
Correlation.
I don't mind it. It's still fun. You know, I heard you say that. Literally the rapper. I think when you just, like when you went to go, I don't know.
That would be amazing for the, like, we've even put like radio repeaters in there. It is the most miserable place to do like a really bad wreck. There was a pig wreck. A whole truck full of pigs wrecked on that one corner. It was like 4 hours. Pigs everywhere. And if they are Canadian pigs, they're considered a hazmat. And it was a nightmare to try and get, like, because it took so long to get that. It was a mess. It was 4 hours. You have to put people along the way and piggyback, just handhelds, because you can't get out of that corner.
Yeah.
So if there's been a couple extrication calls, and you're like, it's bullshit. Rick was saying they were starting using some of the fires he saw this year. A couple of the contractors had some pretty cool.
I've noticed a lot of those contractors with a special antenna on their truck. It's supposed to.
It's just a sign.
People, it's supposed to be the same thing. It costs like $500.
But it just saves on logistics for like.
And so some of they're prepared.
7:30?
Perfect. You.
I need to sign all of these.
Every year. Or a month, yeah.
We've approved the claims, but we still, I think, have to sign.
You do, but my name's not on them, so. My name's on this one.
Oh, okay.
It's not in that one. Those the only ones that need to be signed? We get stuff.
I think so, because these are mostly summary sheets, and that's all the supporting.
Oh. Hi, Colette. Hi, group. We're back. We have Colette. She's in a gym, so I'll give the presentation for Great West. This is an amendment to task order number 7. This is amendment number 4. This is for Great West to do the architectural plans for the well site and the well. This money is designated from our ARPA funds and must be designated by December of 25. So do we have any questions for Colette?
And we're not spending this money, we're just designating this money at this time.
Approving them to start the architectural review.
Yeah.
Any questions for Colette? Man, you might get it off easy, I thought.
I'm good. Hey, Nikki, just if I could too, this also includes the design of the tank. So this is the design of the full PER project. So the new water tank and the well site, the new wells.
Great.
I move to approve the task order number 7, amendment number 4 for water system improvements, design and bidding.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All right. Public comment? Any questions?
I have a question for Colette. We had, pickleball club had asked if there might be a drawing that would show if there is room for the pickleball courts on that same 2-acre site. Is that still included?
Colette, there's a question as to the site plan itself. There was a proposal from the pickleball to see if there was enough room for that as well. Is that?
So I think I'm understanding the question, is there room for the pickleball courts and is there a drawing that shows that? And so is that the question?
Correct.
Okay, so there isn't a drawing yet because we haven't started design, but this contract will allow us to do the design of the new wells and develop a site plan. And so as part of that, we are, we're absolutely able to take into consideration any future plans for the site itself. So if that's pickleball courts, then as we're doing the site plan, we can, meet with all of you and sit down and see kind of what the town would like and what the folks that in the community would like, and try to kind of arrange the site to accommodate that. So yes, that's certainly something that we can do during the preliminary design phase.
Any other questions for Colette?
Are there aquifer protection area in that particular region?
Is there an aquifer protection area in that region?
Is there what?
Aquifer protection region?
Yeah, there has to be an isolation zone. So the wells are required to have a 100-foot isolation zone around them. And so, yeah, that's part of, we'll have to do as part of the design, what's called the PWS 6 source water protection report. And so we'll have to demonstrate and make sure that the site is, secure and in the town's control, so that somebody can't come in and, store a bunch of diesel there right next to your well or whatever it might be. So yeah, that's part of the evaluation in the design, is to look at the source water protection.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anything from online? All right.
Great West will pick where the well goes, correct?
Sorry.
Forget that Carter.
I'm sorry, Carla.
Great West will pick where the well goes.
So the question is, you're picking where the well goes, I think.
So we've already done a preliminary kind of hydrogeologic investigation, and we had drilled some test wells out at that site for quite a while ago. And so we went back and actually did some additional development of those wells, and determined that there's good potential to develop a well field there. So we've already kind of done the siting analysis for the new wells.
And those geology reports as well?
Yes, the hydrogeological reports were done prior to the water PER being done.
Thank you.
So as part of the. Any other questions for Colette? All right, Colette, thank you for being online with us.
Of course, yeah. If anybody thinks of anything else, certainly get a hold of me, and I'm happy to answer more questions.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
All right, there was a motion. Second.
We have a second.
Any other discussion? All right, calling the vote. I can't remember where we're at. I think we're actually at you.
Aye.
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, commission reports. Corey, why don't you start off since you're senior commissioner? It makes you sound so old, but.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I've been having a lot of fun down here in Mexico, so I'm feeling kind of senior-ish right now. But yeah, I guess honestly, I don't have a whole lot to add. I am hopeful that we find an additional commission member, and I will keep searching for that. And I encourage all of my constituents to do the same. And yeah, other than that, I really don't have anything else to add.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Mr. Wade?
Thank you.
So this week, I don't know if everybody saw it or not. ITRR, the Institute for Tourism and Recreation Research out of the University of Montana, put out the report for the 2023 non-resident traveler expenditure and economic contribution report. And these are the numbers that are going to go to the legislature. And, you look at these numbers and you see the impact of non-resident expenditures, and they broke it down by county and on this one.
So University of Montana sent people. I thought I saw somebody with like a tablet.
Yeah,
around
they do.
town.
They do
Okay.
it every year.
They do it every year?
They
were
do.
at the gas station and they're trying to ask me questions at the pump.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is
So
different.
the report just came out, and this one's really important because the legislature is coming up, and these are the numbers that our great legislators are going to see when they make decisions about non-residents and tourism in our state. And the big one that I saw, and this is here for Madison County, they projected that in 2023, non-residents spent $260 million in Madison County in 2023. And the number one expenditure, and we are the only county where this is the number one expenditure in the whole state, was outfitters and guides, with $91 million in Madison County spent in 2023. And we're the only county that is the number one expenditure. Normally outfitters and guides is number 3 or 4 behind lodging, food, and gas. Nobody comes here to fill up their tank and gas and eat and stay in a hotel. But outfitting. So,
but is that based on availability?
What's that?
Do you think the lodging might be based on like availability?
I don't know.
I mean, I feel like Gallatin has a few more.
Or the guides are charging a lot.
Multiple variables.
Yeah. But I thought it was interesting, and they projected that, the industry output for non-residents, comes to about 328 million. They spent 260, but it comes to about 328 million of combined effect in Madison County for the 1 year, and supports almost 3,000 jobs in this county alone.
Just this county?
Just this county.
What's the name of the report again?
It's from ITRR, the Institute for Tourism and Recreation. They're based out of the University of Montana. They produce this report every other year, I think. And I'm on their mailing list, so as soon as it comes out, it dings me. And I mean, I could send it to you if you want. And it has every county in the state, and it has it broke down by region, and more information than a statistician would ever dream of breaking it down.
Will you send that to? I was about to say, will you send that to the clerks as well, and then we can put it on a link to the drive, so that because everybody's like writing it down, so we.
Yeah, I mean, I could send it to. I mean, I have it on my real computer, not on this computer, but
You're really.
But yeah, happy to send it out. But this just came out the other day, and I've been digging into it, and it's great information. And these guys are really smart. They've been doing this report for about 30 years, every other year. And it's really great insights. And this one's, really good, because these are the numbers that the legislature is going to see, the billion mark. I think it was 3.6 billion statewide is what got spent in 2023 by non-residents. So
Well, and what was his name? The director of West Yellowstone, said that West Yellowstone National Park hit a record of over 5 million visitors this season. So
yeah, this is good stuff, and I don't want to say it, but it might lead to a resort tax on $260 million. Might bring in a few dollars for paved roads.
Yes.
That's all I have to say.
Is that up to the commission to kind of propose that to the town?
I'm not saying anymore. Yeah. Mr. Hardy.
Mr. Hardy is the expert.
Yeah, he's our resort tax guru.
I mean, I'm being serious. How
No.
do we get it to happen?
That's the only question I don't know the answer to, but I can answer all the other ones.
All right, that's all I got.
All right, Mitch.
Well, new commissioner to the board, so I've been spending my time reading code and filling out paperwork and getting this thing to work in front of me. So
There's not a lot of love for the Chromebooks is what I got this week. Didn't understand that until this week.
well, the two-part authentication kind of threw everybody, I think, because I kept getting told, just sign in. I was like, it won't let me. So, but I'm in, it's working. Yeah, just trying to keep up with and get up to speed on all the code and using the resources that you mentioned to me
Okay.
during our meeting. So
And now that you both have them, you found them, right?
yes,
You're good.
I'm good.
All right. I harassed John about signing up for the emails.
Oh yeah, I haven't done that yet, but I will.
I'm gonna send them all of your information and see if they can just add you, because then it's one email from us versus each one of you. Sound good?
Mhm.
All right.
Same thing, catching up, reading. It was really great to see how organized everything is. I don't know who put all the effort into that, but thank you very much. Very easy to navigate. And I have to tell you, to see this many people come to a meeting just intrigues me, and it makes me happy. I've been in towns with 27,000 people, 67,000 people, and they don't even get this number of people to attend a council meeting or a selectmen's meeting. So it says a lot about how people care about the community. So I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to actually sit here and the opportunity for everyone to actually attend the meetings. It's very exciting. Thank you.
All right. Let me grab. My little book. Sorry, I need to get a full written report. On where I was at. Actually, honestly, you're seeing most of it. I finished up everything to Department of Commerce for 819, 355. I should have asked Kevin for clarification because for our ordinance to go through, it has to have like a pre-approval phase with DNRC and FEMA. And we have that pre-approval with DNRC as of last Thursday, but we hadn't gotten a final approval from FEMA because they were all at the hurricane. All of Kevin's contacts were out assisting with hurricane relief. So Tracy from DNRC gave him contact for somebody that was supposedly still in the state. So I will follow up to make sure that the final approval from them is done. And then the contract with Colette. So those ones, I was hoping to have the 4 for you. I'm short the 1. For next month, I should have at least two options for auditor for you, along with the 355. I'll do the 6 month, at our December meeting, not at next week's. I don't think I'll have all of them ready. But I'll have DIS for 6 months for next week. So that should be those next 3. The next thing that's on the list, and I'll probably ask for help with, is some of the well site stuff that we're going to have, not well site, but tank site. That's a whole thing that I'm going to need help with, that I'm in over my head on. And then there's just a brief meeting with Mitch, get her set up. I didn't get to have a brief meeting, but you figured it out. So there's all that. I'll print out my certificates for class. I got 2 more 2-hour sections or something like that. Next week's planning and land use. They're going to offer this again in the spring. I think it's an awesome work at your own pace. I would also like to contact MSU for them to come down in January. I know they will be here. Have they released a date for? Okay. So they will be, MSU is setting first priority for educational dates for the local government review. So they'll be a little bit busy December and January, but I'd still like to see if we can have them come down for at least a half-day session to orient all new commission. If that's all good, I think we're still within our budget means for that for our training, because the next one isn't until April at Fairmont.
Get it done in January. You have to wait till April.
Yeah. But that's the only online one that they have going right now. The only other one it's online, but it's not a pre-sign up, is they have a Parley Pro class. So after I finish up this one, I will take Parley Pro. So I think that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Any questions?
Do they have any webinars or anything that you could share with us?
From what I could see, they had no on-demand ones. They were all scheduled.
Yeah. So depending on the topic, like Department of Commerce actually has amazing ones. And if we're, Susie, do they have the conditional use permit? Or was that, I'm trying to remember. It's just the annexations.
I actually haven't looked in a while. They might have a ton of stuff though.
Yeah, I thought that was a very odd area to have those trainings posted, but when we were looking at our first annexations, my training videos were from Department of Commerce. I'll reach out to MSU while I'm online anyway and see if there's an additional hunt out or ideas.
Thank you.
Anything specific you guys are looking for?
Financial budgeting.
That was the section that we just did, and I will go through as part of the, when I do a financial report, I'd like to also prepare a budget calendar and deadline, and I'll print out and hand out the section that I'm talking about from the handbook, because there's two different approaches that they talked about and the benefits to each one. And one is, I'd never seen it done that way. They actually set like standards for each department as overall goals. Like they gave an example for the ones that have fire departments. We want this many safety briefings, this many inspections, this many in January, they were kind of setting their goals for each department. So then as I go to each department, we try and work on your goals and how to incorporate them into the budget. So that's one method. So we'll look at a couple of them and see, but I'd like to kind of do that in January with the financial review, see which we want to do and then a timeline to go with it. Okay.
I would say maybe a class on resort tax implementation.
What a surprise, Corey.
There was a convention in October that I missed to even tell you about, but there was a whole resort tax conference where everybody that's an expert about it gets and tells their stories and how it works and what's working and how they're doing things.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Case studies, if there are any case studies out there, especially through the university. So programs that people are able to launch and make successful. That's a case study. So if someone has had success selling a resort tax, how did they do it? What was the foundation they used? How did they build it? How were they successful with communicating with the community and getting buy-in and acceptance? Just as an example. Case studies are really interesting when you follow them.
I don't think they're
Successful use of resort tax money that the townspeople will see is probably the biggest sell on collecting it, because each one of the businesses in town would have to deal with collecting and reporting, which just adds.
Doesn't take much at all.
Your
Square or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, Shopify will do it.
There's great examples of how it's worked well.
And that's what,
like Whitefish, West Yellowstone, Red Lodge, there's Big Sky. But again, I'm like, just as important are those failures.
but
like-
there's probably grant money out there that actually helps the different hotels or whatever who have to actually exercise the tax payments and how they implement it. So sometimes they'll do a 5-year payout to basically be able to recover the costs of doing the bookkeeping, the accounting. And they help to assist through that 5-year period. And then after that, they cut you loose and you're on your own.
See, looks like there's multiple experts coming together now.
Excess
All right.
money to get that.
So
started.
resort tax, that's so trainings, budget. I actually want to see if I can get Darla if she comes and does trainings.
Do we ever do a budget versus actual review during the fiscal year?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was asking for earlier, was
Yeah.
the quarterly
Quarter.
to see where we are. compared
But
to-
we're behind because the budget didn't pass.
Yeah, but Ginger was saying, once we approve these, then she'll be able to get the first quarter.
Wrong signatures on this one. No one can sign it except John. We still have the other commissioners on it.
Would you just scratch it out?
Okay, is that okay? I would just,
Yes.
okay.
Yes,
Okay.
by all means.
Any other trainings? Conditional use coming up. Beefy up in your books.
Where do we get our notifications for grants that are available, both federal and state?
The only ones that we get any notifications is through the league.
I might start looking into that. May be helpful. I work a lot with grants on the federal level.
All right, and this is scheduled. So we're going to have a meeting
26.
the 26th. And I'm adding the DIS contract and hopefully another.
We're on unscheduled matters, right?
Correct.
Okay. Presuming that this governing body works for the citizens of this community, it seems that the focus has gone astray. Hopefully with the new members, this governing body can get the focus back into perspective and work to bring the benefit back to the citizens. First question, mental results on our past or on our chief of police. It would be very beneficial to find out what they were, put people at ease. The second one is what's the conditions or what are we doing on the SRO? Is it still on the liaison policy where town doesn't have a law enforcement officer, but it furnishes the SRO? What is it? What's going on? Thank you.
I would like to make a suggestion that your unscheduled matters are said here at the public meeting rather than just via email, so that people can be held accountable for what's put on there and what is not. Last meeting, the commissioners were discussing the audit results and the compensated absences in the IT department. Maybe an old business tab, some way to jump back to that stuff so it is not forgotten, because you passed the budget without addressing it. And it's not something to be taken lightly.
So as part of the financial review, that's when I thought the most appropriate time was to look at those, identify what budget amendments we need to do, and prepare those resolutions as a one item, or we can do it as multiples if you choose, budget line resolutions, amendments to the budget.
And that was going to be December, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to do that? The half year will be.
But you won't have half year ready.
No. But you'll at least have quarterlies.
And we can compare to the prior year. That's what accountants do. If you don't have current, you look at the prior year. It's usually not that much off. Just make an adjustment in your mind for COLA and inflation.
Are these going to be at meetings or work sessions, or how is this going to be discussed?
I think we're going to need a few work sessions before we can get to a meeting. If we're going to go line by line, it's going to take some time.
Commissioner Way, you just said that was going to be in the December meeting?
I was asking.
Yeah. So when did you guys discuss that was going to be in the December meeting?
When we could get the full quarterlies.
Yeah.
When did you guys discuss that?
Tonight. When he asked about the quarterlies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's when the December decision was made, tonight in front
we
of
haven't
everybody?
completely
tonight?
decided on December. We're trying to make it happen in December.
Okay.
Yeah. If we can. And I honestly, I think waiting till we're 4 or 5 months away from the next budget that needs to get done to fix this budget makes no sense. So we need to move forward. If we don't have the numbers for 2023, 24, we use 22, 23.
Well,
As
we
a
have
guide.
all of them.
Yeah.
They're
We
all
just
on
use
the.
a guide as a guide. And then, if we do have the first quarter available and there's huge differences, then that might change my mind. But I think it's pretty safe.
Also, the audit findings have been consistent for the last few years. So you could always look at your previous year's audit findings and look into that too, because that absolutely needs addressed.
Thank you.
There's copies available here, and they're also online for your review whenever you would like them.
On the OneDrive.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of work to be done.
I think that's it. Somebody has to move to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Commissioner Hardy?
Aye.
I'm like, I don't know.
I had a migraine yesterday.
I don't know why there's that. I feel like it's where it's just.
I think it was the wind yesterday for me.
So my daughter Nicole has been doing Facebook
Yes.
here for a long time.
Yeah.
For a very long time. Very excited about it.
Yeah, the kids, we tend to use Facebook.
Maybe we're batting cage.
Oh.
The old batting
They seem pretty excited about it, don't they?
They're stoked.
Nice to see you, Rob. Is that the verbiage they use?
No, they didn't,
Oh.
but the kids were coming.
Yeah.
Good, there you go. That's a huge help.
These ones.
Reviewed. No, some of them are. Yeah, that was.
Just coming closer. Oh, gosh, sorry. Oh, thanks.
We do have one in California, which is where we're gonna try to get to. Mike hasn't committed.
Thank you.
Well, in case. I do. I have one of those. Okay. I borrowed this book.
Somebody told me we're not supposed to mark in that book or highlight things.
Can I put sticky on it?
Because I wouldn't have ever done that. I'm just asking